With how controversial the 2021 season ended, many Mercedes fans expected their team to come back in 2022 with a vengeance and win back what many felt was rightfully theirs. But as we wind down this season, we can all confidently say that the team missed the mark by a wide margin this season. As the Brackley-based team is still on the hunt for their first win of the season. But as we now head to Singapore in a few days, will this be Mercedes' last chance at a race win this season? Well, let's talk about it then. But before we do, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. For the past 8 years, Mercedes has dominated over their competitors, which caused everyone to assume that 2022 would be no different, or at the very least be in front fighting for race wins each weekend. But this season has been very far from that, as the 8-time Constructors' Champion has yet to score their first race win this season. Mercedes' underwhelming performance has baffled even Red Bull's team boss Christian Horner, of all people. They changed their focus last year very early on. They said a lot about sacrificing last year's championship so they could work on the car for 2022, said Horner. When the car was introduced, especially with that update, the side pods, it looked so radically different that we expected Mercedes to be as dominant again as in previous years. Obviously, it hurt that we beat them in the Drivers' Championship last year, and we hoped they wanted revenge this year. So it is quite surprising that after the dominance of the last 8 years, they haven't won a Grand Prix in 2022. And while Christian and Red Bull are looking like geniuses who cracked the code of the new regulations in one attempt, Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff would rather give credit to the former Mercedes engineers that chose to leave and transfer to Red Bull. It has been reported that at least 50 former Mercedes employees had left Brackley to join the Milton Keynes team. However, Wolff has now hit back against Horner and the Red Bull team by suggesting personnel switches happen constantly in the paddock, with other teams not really finding the need to publicize them. It's completely normal. We also have these movements from other power unit manufacturers, although we don't issue a press release for them every time that happens. But as much as Toto doesn't want to admit it, the engineers that stayed with the team got it all wrong this season. As early as preseason testing, former F1 champion, now F1 pundit Damon Hill would say that Mercedes' side podless design would be the root of all their problems to come. If you look at the Mercedes, there is a vast area because they've got such slim side pods. There's not much there to hold the floor up, and it could be that they're getting more of this flex, which is creating a problem to control the aerodynamics at the back of the car. Since then, it has been reported that the team has had to shave away parts of their floor to deal with the excessive porpoising the W13 has to deal with, which has resulted in a loss of downforce. But even with an early warning from Damon, Toto at the time would say that his staff should get the benefit of the doubt and that the design should be given time to reach its full form. We need to give all of our people who have produced great race cars in the past the benefit of the doubt, and we believe that this is the route to go down, he said after Miami. But as we all know by now, this was a costly mistake for the team, as we have 6 races left this season, and the team is now scrounging to at least have a race win this season. And what was a confident and positive outlooking Toto has now ended with him saying, "What is the goodness of the concept and what is the badness of the concept?" And that is a question you can only respond to yourself. But I would be asking ourselves to get an answer, because that's the real correlation we have. And then we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, did we get it wrong or not? But to Mercedes' credit, the team is still able to claw their way to put themselves in a position to finish, at the very least in P2 in the Constructors' Championship. And that is all thanks to their drivers, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. But yet again, the two are expected to have an uphill battle in Singapore, as Sky Sports F1 pundit Mark Hughes would say. There is, therefore, no inevitability about a win for either Lewis Hamilton or George Russell in the remaining 2 races, as they will likely always have to beat 2 Red Bulls and 2 Ferraris to do that. The relative strength of the W13 is in high-speed, long corners when the track layout is smooth enough to allow the car to be set very low. Singapore is not such a track, but Suzuka may be, as might Austin. The car can be competitively quick through slow corners too, but only if the layout of the track does not also include fast corners, as its setup window is too small to accommodate both. As such, Abu Dhabi and Interlagos will likely not be ideal, but Mexico might not be so bad, despite Red Bull's formidable record at the track. Last season showed the Mercedes PU no longer struggles in Mexico's thin air, and as such, downforce pure and simple will be the dominating factor, especially given that drag is not punished very hard because of that thin air, thereby partly neutralizing a key Red Bull advantage. Mercedes, Hamilton, and Russell fans therefore need to be looking for a combination of the sort of sweet spot the W13 was in during the races at Barcelona, Silverstone, and Zandvoort. Ferrari continuing to struggle with their tires, and Sergio Perez continuing to struggle with the Red Bull. Then all it has to do is take on and beat Verstappen. Stranger things have happened, but not very often. Stranger things have indeed, which is exactly what is fueling 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton in his quest for his first race win this season. Lewis still holds the record of winning at least 1 race in all of his 15 seasons racing in F1. Lewis would be asked in a recent Petronas event about the possibility of 2022 being a dry spell for him and the team. Lewis would reply with, "I look at it as a bit of adversity, and I think that's where you can really gain strength. I think we've gained a lot of strength in depth. When you're winning all the time, it's a wonderful thing, but you don't gain a lot when you win. There are 6 races left, so there's 6 opportunities, and we'll try to get a win. But if we do not do well, I do not think it is the end of the world. We will get back to the top." And as mentioned before, Mercedes is still in the hunt for P2 in the Constructors' Championship, which to Lewis is a worthy goal for the team to aim for in these last few races. Our goal is to try and get second in the teams, because that does make a huge impact for everybody back at the factory, and so these next 6 races are just about maximum attack. Nothing to lose and going to give it hell, Hamilton said. I would say Singapore should be a good track for us because it's a high downforce circuit. However, it is bumpy. And there you have it, guys. So where do you see Mercedes finishing this weekend at Singapore? Will they beat out Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.